What's the coolest random fact you know? The bulletproof vest was actually invented by a pizza delivery guy from Detroit. After he was shot twice on the job. Everybody already knows the fact that sharks are older than trees. But that also tacitly means several other cool facts. Sharks are older than Pangaea, meaning that the Indian subcontinent had not yet separated and then recollided with what is now the Eurasian plate, meaning Mount Everest had not yet risen. Sharks are older than Mount Everest. Also, the rings of Saturn formed approximately 100 million years ago. Sharks evolved approximately 450 million years ago. Sharks are older than Saturn's rings. Killer whales are actually dolphins. All the planets in our solar system would fit between the Earth and the Moon. Switzerland is famous for watches because back when it was mostly run by strict religious leaders who decided that jewelry was immodest, craftsmen worked together to make watches that were fancy because that was a practical item, thus preserving their crafts. Platypus are venomous. Cool because it is both true and rhymes. We crossbred with the Neanderthals and some of us still have bits of Neanderthal DNA. And before you say, well, humans will fuck anything, A, you're right, and B, Neanderthals were also people. You wouldn't recognize one wearing a suit on the bus. Women only need a 2-inch penis to reach orgasm because all pleasure nerve endings are only located 2 inches into the vagina. The core of the Earth is 2 years younger than the crust of the Earth due to Einstein's time dilation. Union General Winfield Scott Hancock, widely regarded as the best Union Corps commander in the Civil War, was the runner-up in 1880 presidential election. The phrase, "It's raining cats and dogs," comes from the old days of thatched housing. By that I mean those ye olde style dwellings where the walls and roof are basically bundles of sticks or reeds put in layers over a janky frame. The village cats and dogs would nestle in it at night for warmth. When it rained, they'd nestle into the thatching a little deeper. When it poured down, they'd eventually wiggle their way through the wall or roof, and inside it would be raining cats and dogs. 7 meters and M's, stacked one on top of another, is the peak of physics. Seriously random stacking facts are the best. There used to be a snack bar located at the center of the Pentagon. It was called Ground Zero because it was the target for the first nuclear attack by the Soviets. Alaska has an underground city. Tim Storms holds the Guinness World Record for both the lowest note produced by a human and the widest vocal range. His lowest frequencies can only be heard by elephants and various animals that use low frequencies for communication, as well as dedicated scientific measurement devices. There are 3 sizes of chickens: standard bantam and true bantam. Bantams are mini versions of standard breeds bred to be small, while true bantams have no standard counterpart and are naturally small breeds to start with. When you look at the stars, they change your brain's chemistry. Which is you seeing them? Everything, everywhere, is interoffective. Showed a group of people this just the other day at the grocery store and blew their minds. Have you ever noticed the huge difference in prices with maple syrup? That's because the expensive stuff is real maple syrup, actual maple sap that is processed into the syrup, while the cheap stuff is made primarily of corn syrup with added dyes and flavors. This is also why the cheap stuff is branded as breakfast syrup or pancake syrup. It is not legally allowed to be called maple syrup because it isn't made enough from it. In Australia there are 48 million kangaroos, and in Uruguay there are 3,457,380 inhabitants. So if the kangaroos decide to invade Uruguay, each Uruguayan will have to fight 14 kangaroos. Sucktoad McGee was a national scholar and has the Guinness World Record for diarrhea spraying competitively at a total of 48 feet. Swedish is more related to Persian than to Finnish. Most of the languages of Europe that people know of are part of what is called the Indo-European language family. It's estimated to have started somewhere in Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, and spread west into Europe, and south-east towards India. Hence Indo plus European. It includes the Romance languages like French and Italian. It includes the Slavic languages like Russian and Polish. It includes Germanic languages like English and Norwegian. And like I said, it also includes languages such as Hindi and Farsi, aka Persian, the language of Iran and parts of Afghanistan. Finnish is not an Indo-European language. It is a Uralic language, so named because it's believed to have arisen somewhere in the Ural Mountains, the mountain range that divides European Russia from Asian Russia. The only major, non-minority, languages remaining from the Uralic language family are Hungarian, Estonian, and Finnish. It's not related to Swedish, Norwegian, or Russian even slightly, despite being direct neighbors. And because Swedish is an Indo-European language, on the Germanic branch, it is related to Farsi. This also means that Farsi, despite sharing a written script with it, is less related to Arabic than it is to Swedish.